Virgil van Dijk asked for a big summer, and Liverpool delivered. More than £400 million spent, record-breaking signings secured, and the Premier League champions look stronger than ever under Arne Slot. Liverpool gave Virgil van Dijk precisely the transfer window response he wanted after agreeing to sign a new contract at Anfield. The Dutch defender delighted Reds fans when he penned fresh terms in April, but he campaigned for the club to make a statement in the transfer window prior to that announcement. Arne Slot won the Premier League title in his first season as Liverpool coach, despite failing to make a major outfield signing last summer. However, the Merseysiders made up for that frugality this year when they spent in excess of £400 million on new arrivals. The additions of attackers Alexander Isak, £130 million, Florian Wirtz, £116 million, and Hugo Ekitike, £82 million, in particular have got fans excited, and supporters will be reminded on Van Dijk's comments urging the club to go big, before it was even known as to whether he'd remain at Anfield beyond this summer. Whatever happens in terms of players going out, players coming in, I think it should be a big summer, said the Dutchman shortly before his 2-year contract extension was confirmed. I think they're planning to make it a big summer, so we all have to trust the board, as a Liverpool-connected fan, to do the right job. I think Liverpool should be able to challenge for titles in the upcoming years. Many would be inclined to agree after seeing the business the club conducted across the board in recent weeks. And the Reds are already looking like good value to retain the Premier League title after winning each of their first 3 games. There was nary a part of Liverpool's squad that didn't receive reinforcements this summer. Slot's upgrades in attack are well-founded, while 18-year-old Giovanni Leone has given the club the potential Van Dijk successor they've long sought after. Andy Robertson also received fresh competition at left-back from Milos Kerkez, who appears to be Slot's preferred option. And the loss of Trent Alexander-Arnold was mitigated by the arrival of Jeremy Frimpong, who has dazzled at right-back thus far. Those investments weren't completely outside Liverpool's means either, after they sold nearly £200 million worth of talent. And that should help soothe the club's conscience, after breaking from the more cost-conscious approach that so often prevailed during Jurgen Klopp's reign. Looking back now, Van Dijk's comments on the transfer window sound like a man with more knowledge of the club's plans than he might have let on. And after spending so little in the summer of 2024, it always seemed like a big response was likely ahead of Slot's sophomore season. That being said, few might have predicted just how big Liverpool's summer splurge would in fact prove to be. And Van Dijk won't be the only one of the belief the Reds are now primed to compete across multiple fronts for years to come. Liverpool's £400 million summer rebuild has sparked huge debate, and Julian Lescott believes one of Arne Slot's big money recruits could already be heading for the bench. Despite Hugo Ekitike's flying start at Anfield, the ex-Man City defender insists record-breaking £125 million signing Alexander Isak must lead the line, leaving the Frenchman facing a tough reality. In the weeks ahead ex-Manchester City, and England defender Julian Lescott thinks Arne Slot should bench striker Hugo Ekitike for Alexander Isak. The Swede finally completed his move to Anfield on deadline day. Isak became the most expensive British transfer ever when he sealed a £125 million move from Newcastle United. Having become embroiled in a bitter transfer saga, his arrival brought the Reds spending over the £400 million mark, while Frenchman Ekitike is responsible for £79 million of this total after signing from German side Frankfurt. Ekitike has started life on Merseyside in fine fettle, scoring in Liverpool's Community Shield loss and first 2 Premier League matches. But Lescott is convinced he will warm the bench and give way to Isak up top instead of being part of Slot's starting 11 in place of Cody Gakpo on the left. You Ekitike can be on the Liverpool bench, you can be sitting down, admitted Lescott, speaking on In the Mixer brought to you by Sky Bet. We've seen it happen to other teams. Julian Alvarez sat down and he was banging in goals behind Erling Haaland for Manchester City. Liverpool's new signings don't have to all fit in, that's the thing. If you're playing in Champions League games, it's not like, oh, I'm seen in the second team. If you're missing league games to play in the League Cup, then I understand you may feel like that. But if you're playing in the Champions League and it's a massive game, they've got some tough games this season. Liverpool, if you're playing Real Madrid and then on the weekend it's Man City, there is no lesser game. Asked if Isak would start both fixtures, ex-City and Aston Villa, man Lescott was convinced Slot would rotate his side and retorted, no chance. With a host of top recruits brought in this summer, Lescott is also sure the Reds must challenge for multiple pieces of silverware this season, adding, they have to win something. One of the big two Premier League and Champions League. That's if everyone stays fit. What if, God forbid it happens, what if they lose Virgil van Dijk to injury? Put it that way. Anyway, they do have to challenge for all competitions they would have regardless. Liverpool had looked to complete a deadline deal for Crystal Palace captain Mark Guéhi, who would have provided perfect cover at centre-half. However, despite a medical being completed, complications involving Palace sourcing a replacement, and head coach Oliver Glasner making his thoughts clear, saw the move collapse. Lescott also touched on Guéhi's situation, adding, Mark will be alright, he'll leave on a free next year. A move might come in January, but he deserved it now. Crystal Palace's transfer window ended in chaos, and at the heart of it all is captain Mark Guéhi. The defender, who came within hours of sealing a dream move to Liverpool, was left stunned when chairman Steve Parish pulled the plug at the last minute. Now, furious and disillusioned, Guéhi is considering giving up the captain's armband as tensions boil over at Selhurst Park. Mark Guéhi is reportedly considering stepping down as Crystal Palace captain after being left furious at the club blocking his move to Liverpool. Guéhi looks set to join Liverpool on transfer deadline day after Palace chairman Steve Parish went against the wishes of manager Oliver Glasner to accept their £35 million offer for the defender. He completed a medical in London and was due to fly up to Merseyside to join Alexander Isak with the Reds. However, Parish ultimately changed his mind at the last minute, pulling the plug on the transfer after Glasner threatened to resign because a replacement hadn't been signed. Palace had agreed a loan move with Brighton for Igor Julio, but the Brazilian ended up choosing West Ham instead. The chaotic situation has had a significant impact on Guéhi, who was consistently praised by Glasner for his professionalism, while speculation swirled around him. The Guardian reports that he is extremely unhappy and may release a statement to explain his side of the story after reporting for duty with England at St George's Park. The 25-year-old is club captain, but is so upset that the transfer was denied at the last minute that he could let go of the title. His current contract with the club runs until June 2026, and the possibility of him extending it now appears very remote. The Times reports that he will resist any further attempts to tie him down. His exit was so far down the line that Palace had recorded a farewell video for Guéhi, which has since leaked on social media. He played and scored in the 3-0 win over Aston Villa on Sunday evening, a match that he believed would be his last for Palace. But now he will be expected to continue with the club after the international break. Throughout the saga, Glasner was clear that he did not want to lose his captain and most important centre-back without a replacement. After being linked with Manchester City's Manuel Akanji, Monaco's Mohamed Salisu, Rennes' Jeremy Jacquet, and Brighton's Julio, they signed Toulouse's 19-year-old defender, JD Canvot, for £21 million. As well as dealing with the fallout of an unhappy captain, Palace now risk losing Guéhi for nothing next summer. He will be freely able to discuss a move with foreign clubs in the January transfer window, while Liverpool could decide to renew their interest in the new year too. I can say it with clarity, and I said it to the chairman that it's nothing to do with Oliver Glasner, but we need to keep Mark to play a successful season, Glasner said after the Villa win. We had a meeting in March where we talked about the situation, so again we know how the situation is, and we have an agreement that we could sell Mark if we have the right replacement in. We wanted to have this replacement at the beginning of the pre-season to be independent from this situation. That was on July 9th. The season started. It's August 31st and there is no replacement in the building. So it's clear one part of the agreement is not fulfilled. That means we can't sell Mark. After a frantic 24 hours in the transfer window, Liverpool finally got their man. Alexander Isak has swapped Newcastle for Anfield in a record-breaking deal, but his former club had no kind words on his way out, Newcastle United have released an ice-cold message after selling Alexander Isak to Liverpool for a British record fee. The deal, which Liverpool insist is consisting them £125 million, and which Newcastle say is worth £130 million to them, went through after a frantic last 24 hours of the window, with Isak now a Liverpool player and reporting for Sweden duty for the World Cup qualifiers. But Newcastle were in no mood for kind words as they announced his exit, stopping short of a good luck message after the striker refused to play or train this summer. Instead, they issued a short 37-word statement last night. A short statement read, "Newcastle United can announce the sale of striker Alexander Isak to Liverpool for a significant British record transfer fee." The Sweden international joined the Magpies from Real Sociedad in 2022 and made 109 appearances in all competitions. And without the usual good luck message on the bottom, the statement then followed, simply with ends. Isak told LiverpoolFC.com, "I feel amazing. It's been a long journey to get here. But I'm super happy to be a part of this team, this club, and everything it stands for. It's something I'm proud of and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm just happy it's done and that I can get back to work. I'm looking forward to seeing my teammates and the fans and getting back out there. I think I have a lot to give. I think I have a lot to improve. I'm a striker, but I always want to give as much as possible to the team. Mainly goals, but much more than that as well. I want to win everything." Isak went on, "Me getting the chance to be a part of this. I want to create history. I want to win trophies. That's ultimately the biggest motivation for me, and I feel like this is the perfect place for me to grow even further and to take my game to the next level and help the team as well. I feel like this is the next step for me in my career. I'm super happy that I've been given this chance, and I'm very motivated to do something well with it." Arne Slot has finally secured his top target of the transfer window. But how does he fit Alexander Isak into his Liverpool lineup? The 25-year-old striker arrived at Liverpool's training ground on deadline day morning for a medical test. Liverpool agreed a £125 million deal with Newcastle for his signature, after a long and painful summer of Isak trying to force an exit from St James Park. Now the Swede is in the Reds' grasp. The defending Premier League champions will need to work out how they can use him alongside their summer signings. £116 million midfield magician Florian Wirtz and £79 million goal machine Hugo Ekitike, as well as Liverpool mainstay Mohamed Salah. When a big change is on the horizon, it's sometimes best to keep everything else as similar as possible. With this in mind, Slot may stick with the 4-2-3-1 formation he has been deploying this season. This would likely see Wirtz keep his position behind the striker, while Salah attacks from the right-hand side. However, with Isak in the building, Ekitike, who boasts 2 goals and 1 assist in his first 3 Premier League matches, may be shifted out to the left. This would leave Isak, who will surely be given the Reds' number 9 shirt left vacant by Darwin Núñez, as the lone striker up front. It also means that Dominik Szoboszlai, who is currently filling in at right back for the injured Jeremy Frimpong, and has been sensational this term, would lose his place in the starting 11. With so many world-class attackers, Slot may decide to simply play all of them. Attack has been Liverpool's first form of defence, scoring 8 goals in their first 3 matches while conceding 4. If Slot is happy to gamble on always scoring at least 1 more than the opposition, then a 4-2-2-2 would be terrifying. This would see Isak and Ekitike lead the front line while Salah and Wirtz come inside, playing as attacking midfielders. This would be new to Salah, who has primarily played as a winger throughout his career. It would, though, once again, mean Szoboszlai misses out. When Wirtz arrived at Anfield, he was unveiled as the most expensive Premier League player in history. Now he is not even the priciest player at Liverpool. And, given his difficult start to life at Anfield, he may not even be in the starting 11. Ekitike has been on fire in his first few games, so it's currently unthinkable Slot would drop the Frenchman for Isak. However, as Liverpool were lucky not to drop points against Bournemouth and Newcastle, Slot may opt to add another body in midfield to protect his wobbly defence. Out of everybody in the team, it currently makes the most sense to drop Wirtz, which was unthinkable when he was unveiled with his number 7 shirt at the club.